Hello and welcome to a very noisy Ibrox Stadium. I just happen to be directly under the speaker, so yes, hello and welcome along to reaction here from your final pre-season game of the season before we started the new season.
Have any of the listeners heard such a humble brag before? We're doing this live from Ibrox, hence the noise.
Yeah,
Isn't it disastrously wonderful?
it's not. I hate dance music. So yeah, I'm joined by Scotty and Stu. Scotty, how are you?
Good. I don't mind a bit of dance music. It probably beats some of the shite that I've heard recently, but yeah, there we go.
Yeah, I know Stuart Henderson's right in the comments. That's a copyright strike right away, isn't it? That's what that is, because I'm guessing that everybody can hear it loud and clear. But yeah, there you go. So yeah, we're here to react to Rangers' final pre-season game of the season. Rangers 1, Tottenham Hotspur 2. Before we get into the reaction and that, of course, if you're watching on YouTube, please do like and subscribe. If you're on Twitter, give us a wee like, a follow, and a wee retweet. Scotty, that's how you do an intro.
Do you know what? I was actually just thinking that. That's exactly what I tried to do yesterday. So thank you very much. It's such a shame we're going to miss that Tano announcement. But those that tuned in yesterday will notice I'm back again. So absolutely delighted to be here, be allowed back on. JB, you didn't watch the game. What are you doing here?
Stop doing, mate.
You just done that.
I think he's giggling away in the background. I think I don't think the
that Taro announcement was
how
far
many
too loud.
people it takes to run this pod. It's not straightforward. You know, we've got Jamie at home, we've got Martin at Ibrox, we've got Stu.
Down south.
In
a basic
cell.
Wall, yeah.
How you doing, Stu?
But yeah,
good,
okay,
man.
let's get into it before I end up deaf. We've currently got Wilf Marshall down in the press room asking the gaffer questions, so I will report that back to you as soon as I get it. Scotty, I'm going to go on mute when I'm not talking because that music is doing my nutting. Rangers 1, Tottenham Hotspur 2. What's your takeaway from our final pre-season game?
Absolutely brilliant run out, to be fair. After the first 10 minutes, I was a bit like, oof. They seem far more prepared than we are for this, and they were right in our faces. They pressed so well. But we got to grips with the game, and we pressed them back. So I was actually really, really happy with that. Energy levels kept it up for their 90 minutes. We didn't make as many changes as they did. There are some concerns, not just individually, but in the team as a shape. But I think that's more down to new personnel, players coming in, perhaps unfamiliar with the style that we usually play. So if you think one of the key points that I point to is probably John Suter at the back. He was coming up against Kulusevski, who it's probably a bit unfair to criticise him and Borna when you're coming up against Kulusevski, Kane and Son in your probably first real challenge. But I'm going to go there anyway, so bear with me. It's going to be a really good learning experience when he watches that back, him and Borna, in how they're going to work together. And I think the problem came where they would never have had that test before playing a game or in training. So the only way to get better is to actually learn from this. So that's a really good test. I think I'm not going to get bogged down and say, right, okay, well, certain players should have performed better. But I am going to be really positive and say Matondo, he looks like an absolute menace. Really excited to see him absolutely start flying on the right. Kent start flying on the left when he gets going. Lundstrom in the middle looks like he's just continuing on from last season, which is really, really key for us moving forward. Kolach, his link-up play is superb. He's a real battler, and we've been crying out for a Morelos, not necessarily a replacement, but someone that can step in. And I think we've got that, and potentially, hopefully, a little bit more, because we just want players getting better and better. Anyway, I've rambled on for a minute there.
Yeah, well, I tell you what, we'll dissect everything that Scotty said there, Stu, but I think we'll start with the defence. There was a couple of times, especially in that first half, that Kulusevski just turned Suter, and as soon as he turned him, he was away, and it was so evident that, Kulusevski isn't the fastest, I don't think, but he's a lot more pacey than Suter, so when he got past him, it showed. But I think the defence today, especially in that first half, actually, deserve a lot of credit, because you're playing against Kane and Son, who are one of the most deadliest duels in Europe, and Kulusevski, who slotted right into that Tottenham team towards the end of last season, no problem. So I think, especially in that first half, our defence deserve a whole load of credit.
Yeah, I think it's hard to criticise, because I think you've got to remember as well that they were you're gonna big fluke there. It's hard to criticise at times, because you forget how good Tottenham are. I mean, the movement in the first sort of 10-15 minutes from them was outrageous at times. We literally couldn't deal with it for the first 10-15 minutes, and we were trying to get up the pitch, but we were getting caught out so many times. And then we just adjusted, I thought, and it was just like everyone switched on. I think it was hard to criticise Suter in the first. I actually thought he had a poor second. I thought the first half he wasn't too bad, but Kulusevski was unreal at times. I thought he was their best player in the first half by quite a distance. It was a shame he ruined it with that horrendous dive in the second half. But up until then, he was very good, and he was sort of causing us all sorts of problems. But it's these are new guys, and Suter's not played at that level, anywhere near that level before. So it's going to take time for him to come up to it. And he had the confidence to still try and play his own way, but obviously it wasn't coming off at times. But overall, it's just such a great test for him, because they're only going to get better playing at that level.
Do you know what? And it's not even just that, Scotty. I think we also have to take into consideration that people can look at Tottenham and go, they haven't been, right up there since Pochettino left. They've been a bit part in whatever happened under Mourinho. They're not a top 4 team in England, if you like. But this is a Tottenham team who have now had just under a year under one of the best managers in the world, under Conte. It's their first full pre-season under Conte as well. So you're probably coming up against probably the best version that Tottenham's been for a good few years.
Without a doubt, this the way to put it, the expectation of this Tottenham team will not be to scrape 4th place. The expectation of this Tottenham team is going to be to disrupt the top of the table. Antonio Conte doesn't do runners up, 3rd place, 4th place. Put it that way. So everything that's built in that team is with the ambition to be great. It's not going to be like Pochettino, where it's like, if we do well, then well done, pat on the back. And you can see that right from the off, because I don't believe that they treated this like a pre-season friendly. Yeah, okay, they made some changes and brought on some fresh legs and get some, metaphorical meat. Not the right word. But yeah, it's just a fantastic test for us to actually see where we are. I don't think we're that far off in terms of technical ability. I think we're miles away. In terms of fitness and in terms of being ready for the season and where we want to be, we are not that far off, which is primarily what I would focus on at the moment. I've seen a lot in the comments, probably a bit too negative in my liking. And I think we need a bit of perspective. You just have to say, like, we're playing a team that's 50 million quid worth of strike off the bench.
Do you know what, Scotty? You're saying that, right?
We didn't have a replacement striker for Kovac to come off the bench.
No, but we're playing a team, and I agree with you. They're expected to do things in England this season. See, after that initial kind of first 5 minutes, I thought that we actually took control of the game in that first half. I think we took control of the ball. We created most, if not all, of the chances. And in fact, before I come to Glenn Kamara, Stu, just on that, I actually thought the first half, I don't know if it was so much Spurs were just trying to calm it down and feel their way into the game or whatever, but I was really, really impressed with that first half performance from Rangers.
Yeah, as I said earlier, it's like once we settled, we looked really, really good. It caught us a few times on the counter, but it was almost positive that they had to hit us on the counter. We were, controlling the ball and sort of camped in their halves at times, which was just really good to see. And I thought for our players to have that confidence, that was the big thing for me, because so often we've seen over the years, you play a good side, a side that are better than you, and it's easy to sit back and just let them play around with the ball. But we went right in their face, and we were just confident all through the pitch. Everyone wanted the ball. Everyone still tried the things that Gio is showing them, and it's so big for us to play our game, not let people impose their game on us. We showed it against Dortmund last season, and it's good to see that that's something that we're going forward with. That no one is going to impose their game on us. We're always going to try our thing, just that first. Like, obviously, it dipped a little in the second, but the intensity is going to die, especially in the pre-season. But I mean, the positives are huge from that first half for me.
And do you know what, Scotty? Just on that very point, Grant McRoberts thank you very much, Grant, again for the super chat as well. Really, really greatly appreciated. Just on that about the way that we play, Grant's saying, I actually like the look of our playing style. It's just hard to come up against an elite manager and two elite forwards. Their trophy drought will end. But the confidence that these Rangers players are showing to go up against a team at Tottenham's calibre. And listen, West Ham are no mugs either, you know what I mean? But Tottenham are just that wee level above West Ham. But for us to go out in that first half and play the way that we played, it showed a lot of bottle and character as well.
Just a quick note, Martin, you must have some clout to get him to turn off that music.
Hey,
thank you.
I don't mess about.
All right, the no mugs, and reiterating the point, I really enjoyed the fact that we were cool, calm, very much create a lot of time for ourselves in possession. Didn't always look to rush the pass. When we did play the pass forward, it was actually quite incisive, accurate, which is really key, and it was played with pace and intent. It wasn't just aimless balls over the top into the channels or in tight areas. It was into feet, and players were turning on the ball, laying the ball off, working the ball out. We worked the ball out into the channels really, really well, and that is the benefit of having Tava Matondo on one side and Barisic on the other, because it's not like the defence of Spurs who recognise they cannot overload one particular side and nullify that effect. So that is really encouraging to going forward. Can
I just interject to me, Scotty, just for 2 seconds? Where I don't really know so much of it's breaking news, but I've just had a message from Wilf, who's in the press room right now, and Gio has said that he is hopeful of announcing Yilmaz in the coming days, and as soon as that's done, unless players leave, that will be the transfer business done for the season.
Well, there goes our rumour conversation yesterday where we were talking about what's his name, Catroni.
Oh God, they were talking about Suarez today as well, which was funny. But yeah, so Gio has said that if he hopes to announce Yilmaz, and unless any players leave, that will be the end to Rangers transfer business. Sorry, Scotty.
I can't remember what I was saying now. Don't worry.
Okay, Glenn Kamara, Stu. As somebody I have to talk about, I personally do believe that he has been our player of pre-season. I think he's been absolutely outstanding. And again, we'll touch on the second half in a minute, but I want to stay with the positives. That first half, he was by far, for me, the best player on that pitch.
I think he was the best player on that pitch, and I think he was the best player on the pitch against West Ham for most of it as well. He's back to his old self, and it's sort of that fickle thing of football where, when he dipped last season, and we'd be lucky to get 6-7 million for this guy. Whereas before we're saying 15-20, and now it's back to that sort of, this guy's so good, he's that good, and he's 50k and we're going to make millions off him. He's clearly got that talent, and sometimes I think he lost his way a little bit last season. Whether that was with the manager change, he didn't know his role that well. Obviously Gerrard played him so deep, and I think Gio does play him a little further forward. But he's just excelling, and when he's got that ball, he's missed the call, isn't he? I think it was so early in the game as well when we were a little bit under the cosh, and the first time we come forward and they were pressing us every moment, and that first time they went and pressed Glenn Kamara, and he's just done that little drag back and turned the guy inside out. And it just created all that space, all that time. And I think it just settled the whole team, to be honest, which is what he does. He sort of conducts play a lot, and he settles us. So he's a big one for me, and I knew we were going to lose players this season, but I hope one of them isn't going to be Glenn Kamara, because I think he's going to be massive.
Before the start of pre-season, I would probably have put Glenn Kamara at the top of my list as players who I would probably be less sad, if that makes sense, if they leave.
Yeah, no, I understand.
But I'm watching this pre-season, Scotty, and I'm watching the way that Gio wants to play, and I'm watching Kamara play in that system, and now I'm thinking to myself, he's even more valuable now than what he was when Gerrard first brought him in and he had that outstanding spell. I truly believe that he's probably and this is just my own personal opinion, I think he could end up being one of the most important players under Gio.
I don't think you're far wrong. I hate agreeing with you. I mean, I've always been, ever since he signed, I said, once he gets in the first team, he won't get out of the first team. I mean, he's just a really silky, beautifully talented footballer with super feet. I think we've seen with any footballer that it is a confidence game, and perhaps he's not gone through the most confident spell. I think Gio needs a bit of recognition. I need to give him better recognition that he's somehow finding a system where he recognises he's got talented players, but he recognises that these talented players just can't play anyway. So he's finding a system that complements everyone. Unfortunately, it does come with sacrifices to some players that people may not like. I'm not going to name names. I can work out who. But what we've got, I think what we're seeing is two holding midfielders that perhaps in some games we may not like, because we're thinking, well, why do we need two holding midfielders? But then when we look at Lundstram playing along with Kamara, and I think what Gio tried to work out is whether Kamara could play this role, is Lundstram will start making those runs further forward and joining the attack rather than Kamara, because we saw Kamara obviously last season playing a more advanced role. And he had a limited amount of success, but I don't think long-term it would have worked. So I think it's going to be the two of them, with Kamara staying deep. And again, saw today Kamara very much doing that Ryan Jack covering role. And if we can get Kamara to master that as well, then we've got a player on our hands. But what's really key to allow these guys to be able to do their job is having that attacking player that takes the pressure off the likes of numbers for Lundstram and Kamara. And that's where, we're really seeing the benefit of the team, whether it's Tillman, Lawrence, or perhaps Lowry.
Yeah. Moving on from Kamara, Aldo, channel member and of course part of the rabble. Kolak will score so many goals in the 6-yard box. His movement is very good. His movement is outstanding, Stu. His closing down is brilliant. His link-up play, as Scotty said earlier, is superb. And I think that goal today, although in the end it means nothing because it's a pre-season game, I think that is a very, very important goal for his confidence.
We literally said last night that once he gets one, that'll set him on his way, and I think that is the goal that's going to do it. And you saw just that reaction, because Tav's tried that flick. There's no guarantee that that's going into the 6-yard box, but it's just his reaction time was quicker than Premiership defenders to get there and put that away. He's brilliant. I really like him, and I know I based all of that off of 2 games I watched him against us when we were signing him, and I said then I think he's going to be amazing for us. But I just didn't realise how good his closing down play was, to be honest. I always thought he could hold the ball up because he did it against us well. His finishes against us were pretty decent, but he closes down. He does it smartly. He doesn't waste energy. He'll do it when he knows that there's a chance of us turning the ball over or causing them to clear the ball forward instead of passing it out. And it's just having that. Like Scotty said, he's similar to Morelos. He can play that role, but he offers something different at the same time. And I think that's key for us, just having other options that can do different things in the same position. I'm just really excited to see what he's going to do. Hopefully, starting next week and against Livingston.
Half time comes, Scotty 1-0. I suppose we're all happy. We go in at half time. I was speaking to a few guys at half time, and I was saying I was actually a wee bit nervous before this game because of how good a side Tottenham are and that front three that they had. But I went in at half time and I was pure confident, man. I was buzzing. I couldn't believe how well we had played. What went wrong second half? Was it just a case of Tottenham's quality eventually shone through, or did we just drop off?
I think you might have seen that first half through blue tinted specs, Martin, because Spurs could have scored 2 or 3 in that half. Granted,
I'm never going to apologise for my blue tinted specs.
That's absolutely fine. To be honest, we could have scored a couple as well. It was, I think we just ended up having the rub of the green, and not necessarily the rub of the green, but I just think we Recovered well. Because you think in that first half the amount of opportunities Kulusevski had down that his right hand side, and the only thing holding him back was the fact that he hasn't got a right foot. I mean, that was actually quite wasteful from him. But in the second half, you're playing.
Garland says it, Scotty, but the second half, we went for 1-0 up to 2-0 down in the space of 10 minutes.
Okay, well, 10 minutes out of 90. We're playing these guys for 90 minutes.
I get that.
Whether Harry Kane is like one of the best strikers in the world, and then when he only needs 2 chances, and he needs 2 half chances. And if you think all the best teams and the best players, they all work in spurts, right? You can play against them for 90 minutes, but they do their damage in 10, 15 minutes. And that's exactly what Spurs did. They waited time. We conceded a goal. We conceded a very, very good goal from Spurs.
The goal we conceded, though, they were both the same, Scotty, in terms of it came from a break from us giving the ball away, albeit Kane's finishing unreal.
Yeah, I really don't want to go down the blame route, but I feel like it's almost unavoidable in terms of that. So the first goal, I noticed that you put out on Twitter, it might be you, that it came from Kent giving the ball away.
Mm-hmm.
I always think that's a really harsh thing to say.
Of course it is. But it's just factual.
When it's 100 yards from goal, because there's an awful lot of football that needs to be played between then and the ball going in the back of your net. There's a lot of people that you can point the finger at in between that and say that could have been handled better. That said, I have seen that shot from that kind of Goldson block. 9 times out of 10, it's saved by McGregor in goal. But that was so far.
I was sitting directly behind it and I seen it. Yeah,
unbelievable finish.
Yeah,
and you've just got to go right. Okay, fair enough. Now the second goal is caused by a sloppy play, and it is caused by an area and issue that needs regret. And it's a case of people are saying, right, okay, we'll probably look at that area if we qualify for the Champions League. I think it's a more pressing issue than that. I actually think it should be now a priority, and taking into account what Gio said, no more incomings unless there's outgoing. Well, that's not a surprise, but now I'm thinking about it, it's annoyed me a little bit.
We could talk so much more. We'll give it another 5 minutes before I'm probably airlifted out of the press box, because Jamie Duff was meant to be sitting in the background in case I had to go, and he's just decided to disappear. But right, okay, so we conceded 2 goals early on. Second half after that, I mean, nothing sticks out in my head. So is it fair to say it just kind of fizzled out after that? Because Tottenham started to make quite a lot of changes, then we made some changes, and it just fizzled out, didn't it?
Yeah, I think JD's just said he's still there, apparently, but in the comments. I don't know, it did. I think I made a few notes, and I think after the change, I just basically noted the changes at that point. I didn't really... I think Wright had a sort of deflected shot that sort of went wide. But yeah, apart from that, the only 2 things that stuck out to me, and I don't want to be like contentious, but I can't be dealing with McGregor with the ball at his feet anymore. I just cannot be dealing with it. Like, it was twice.
McGregor made some
saves, amazing saves, and I've always said his shot stopping will never be called into doubt, but we can't, like, when you're going against good teams, we're starting attacks from the back, and he's giving the ball away 30 yards outside his own goal. What you say?
Is it really too much to ask to get a goalkeeper that can make saves and play with the ball at his feet? Is it too much to ask? There must be one somewhere. I don't think
it's too much to ask. I just think it's very expensive.
Is it? Have we looked hard enough?
I don't know. I'm not part of the scouting team.
Or there'll be one somewhere.
Right. So, Scotty, overall pre-season then. Look, well, in fact, you know what? We'll just really quickly finish on the game of the day. Really, really satisfied that even though we were playing the better team, and Spurs were a better team than us, we were still able to compete. I think that's what I'm taking from the day's game.
Yeah, me too. I mean, it's not quite the same as a European night, is it? And if we are on a European night, I think that game goes a lot differently, and I actually think it probably swings more in our favour. So we've got to take that into account if we're going to do that. I'm not saying we're going to go beat Spurs or anything like that, but we've seen. I think we've still got a couple of levels to our game when it starts getting competitive that we're gonna rock it through quite quickly. So yeah, I'm pretty pleased where we are. And if I compare it to this time last season, I'm absolutely delighted. We look such an attacking threat. We look so much more composed on the ball going forward. We've still got a bit of work to do defensively, but we're addressing that. So that's going to be interesting when Davies comes in and this Turkish boy signs. So all in all, it's a solid. We're in a solid place in the season, and I'm comparing it to. It's not the same. The title-winning 55 season in terms of confidence level going into the season.
Do you know what? I think we'll actually finish it there because there's a couple of more things I want to discuss, but I'm going to leave it for a midweek pod so we've got something to talk about. I think that sounds about the right thing to do.
Remember to write it down because if it was me, I'd forget.
I will forget, but I'll just watch this back and then it'll remind me. So yeah, look, this was our first time in the press box for the Rangers first team. We have, of course, been here for the women's team and the youth team in the past. Great experience. Wolf was as giddy as a kid at Christmas. I kid you not. He's probably down in that press room right now, stuck to the seat. Can't he move? In fact, here he comes right now. Wolf, do you want to have a quick chat with everybody before we go? How was your experience in the press room?
It was magic. I didn't ask a question because what I was going to ask was covered in an answer to a previous question. But it's a good experience. Really enjoyed that.
There you go. So I tell you what. On that note, Wolf standing behind me, staring at me. Scotty, thank you.
Right, thank you. Good to see you as always.
Stu, thank you very much.
No worries, thank you.
Thank you to everybody watching. Of course, please, if you're on YouTube, please do like and subscribe so you can help us get into a bit more positions like this where we can offer you this kind of content and we can offer you the breaking news that Wolf gave us so we can get it to you first. As the lights start to go out on Ibrox, I want to thank everybody for watching and we'll speak to you again very, very soon.